Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you are all doing well, and welcome back to the afternoon STEAM train. This one is going to be at 3 p.m. every day, and it's for kids from 3rd grade to 5th grade, but anyone can follow along if they want to. It doesn't matter how old or young you are, but this is mainly who it's focused towards. I hope everybody is doing well, and today we're going to cover the topic of animation. Animation is something super cool because it's in a lot of things that we use today. And it's actually an optical illusion. All that means is it's something that plays a trick on your eyes and makes your eyes think something that isn't necessarily true. So we're actually going to make our own animation, and we're going to do some cool extra things, and I'll give you lots of tips and tricks to make your very own stop motion animation later if you want to after this video is done. The first type of animation we're going to make is actually just going to be 2 frames. All a frame is just a picture. Think of any picture you've ever seen. That could be one part of an animation. Some of them are really simple and some of them are really complicated. But before we start, here's the supplies we're going to need for today. You just need 1 piece of string. It can be pretty short. You don't need a lot of it, and you only need 1. And you're going to need some small paper. I'm going to use sticky notes for mine because they're already in little squares. But you can use something like index cards, or you can fold a piece of paper and cut them apart. Just make sure they're both the same size. You're going to need just a little bit of tape. Glue will work also. And something to draw with. I'm going to use a black marker, but you can do this with crowns, colored pencils, markers of all sorts of colors. That's alright. But first, we need to think about what we want to animate and how it's going to work. What we're going to do is we're going to make 2 pictures. And we're going to trick our brain into thinking it's one picture that's moving really fast back and forth. So think of something that could be 2 pictures and make an entire story. Maybe it's somebody, there's a loud car going by. Maybe it could be somebody jumping on a trampoline. So the first picture is them on the trampoline, and the second one is them in the air. Maybe it's a car driving really fast. So the tires are turned one way, and then they're turned the other way, and they'll look like they're spinning. Maybe it's a windmill. Maybe it's somebody playing jump rope and they're jumping over a jump rope. You can make your animation whatever you want it to be, but I'm going to make mine a car. First things first is we're just going to draw the normal state of our picture. So I'm going to take my sticky notes and I'm just going to draw a car that's going to be easy for me to draw again because I'm going to have to draw this picture 2 times. So I'll make this a really simple car. I'm going to draw 2 really big wheels. I'm going to draw a line connecting them. So it's going to look like this at first. You don't have to do a car like mine. I'm just doing this for an example. You can make these whatever you want them to be. I'm going to add a front and back to my car. A little bit like this. And then to make it really easy, I'm going to make my car have a dome on it. And just to make it a little bit extra, I'm going to add a person in it. So this is the first part of my car. Now when a car is driving, nothing really moves except the wheels. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a plus on the wheels to look like the rims, and I can make that spin in the next picture. So I'm going to add the rims to my car. And don't forget, if you're tuning in a little late, you can always go back and watch the video and catch up from where you left off and start this project from the beginning or watch it again later if you don't have time right now. So I have the first part of my animation. I'm going to make this car look like he's going to move. So here's where the tricks start to come in. If this picture the second time is next to it, I won't see a difference. But if the picture appears in the same place, maybe if I flip it over and the other part's on the back, I'll see in the same spot and I'll want to think it's the same picture that's changed. Because your brain has something called persistence of vision. All that means is that when it's seeing something, it wants to keep seeing it. That's why if somebody stands in your blind spot for a little bit, right around here, you can kind of see them, but you can't tell they're there. And then they leave, you're still going to feel like there's someone in your blind spot because your brain still wants to keep seeing it. So the trick to drawing your second picture is you want it to line up where all the parts that aren't going to move. So if someone's jumping on the trampoline is going to stay still. If you're doing someone jump roping, the people holding the rope aren't going to jump too. You want to draw them in the same place. You can make this really easy by laying your picture on top, being somewhere where there's a lot of light, and you can draw them in the same way. So I'm going to do that really quick. I'm going to layer my sticky notes. I can kind of see through it in the sunlight. And I'm going to draw my second picture in the same spot. I'm not going to fill in the wheels yet because that's where we're going to make a difference. Draw the same car. Add the same person. I'm going to make them lean forward a little bit so he almost dances when the car drives. Add in the wheels. And I should be good to go. So I'm going to separate mine. And I should have two pictures that look really close to the same. But I need to make a difference so they look like they move and they animate. So all I'm going to do is, instead of making this a plus, I'm going to make it more like an X in the wheels. Animation is something that we've all seen before, but we might not know it's animation. Any cartoon you watch, any movie where all the characters are clay, those are actually just really complicated animations. They're drawing hundreds and thousands of pictures and putting them together to make something really awesome. So now that I have my two pictures, remember these can be anything you want, but they do have to be similar because they're going to be part of the same animation. Here's the first trick. Take one you want to start with, and we're going to put our string in the middle of it. This is so we can make it in a way where we can see it animate. So I'm going to take my first picture, I'm going to put it picture side down. I'm going to put my string across the middle. It will look a lot better if it's in the middle. So make sure, top and bottom, it is stuck in the middle of your paper, sticky note, whatever you used. And you're going to want to tape it down. I'm going to use clear tape. This tape doesn't have to be clear. You can use any kind of tape for this part. So now I should just have a picture on a string. And this isn't quite an animation yet. If I flip it over, nothing happens. This is a very important step. Make sure you do this correct, otherwise it will not work. My picture, I'm going to flip it upside down and then stick it on the back. So it should be the same way. I flip it over, so it's going to be upside down when I look at it. So if I turn around, I should see the same picture but upside down. Stick them so they're lined up in the same spot. And I'm going to put a piece of tape on the top, and on the bottom, we'll have the first animation we're going to make today. Something really cool is if you watch a movie like Wallace and Gromit or Paranorman, they're really awesome because those movies are made entirely out of clay animations. It takes a lot and a lot of clay puppets to make those movies. And instead of drawing different pictures, they actually have to pose them in every single thing and then take pictures of it. And it takes hours and hours and hours. So you're actually done with this animation. So one side has our car, and the other side has the wheel. But this is how you make it work. You can do this by yourself by holding it tight and then flipping it over and over again. And then it's going to wind up. Or if you have a friend, you can hold it and have them spin it and then get ready. I'm going to let go and it's going to flip and it's going to look like this car is driving. So I'm going to hold it still, make sure it's wound up a lot, and then let go. And it's going to spin itself. And it does go pretty fast. If you look at the wheels, I'm going to wind it up one more time. You can see them look like the car is driving. And his head's going to move forward and backward because I drew him a little bit differently. So make sure you hold the strings tight, have it spin. And this string could be anything. If you don't have regular string, you can use old shoelace. Anything will work. I'm going to let go and it's going to spin. And that's our first really simple animation. But if you want to make one that's more than two pictures, which I'm sure you do if you made it this far, then I'm going to show you some really cool different ways and ideas so you can get started animating. And the cool thing is, this can be a project that's longer than a day. You could do this every day if you wanted to and make all sorts of different things with it. Or you can just keep working on one project all day long and it's going to turn out really awesome. Another type is a sticky note animation. This would take a really long time to draw on camera, but instead of having two pictures that are upside down, all I did was take one sticky note and I drew a ball that's going to roll across. So if my ball is going to roll across the camera, I need to make sure it moves at the same speed. Otherwise it won't look right. If the ball goes all the way up here and then goes back and then goes to the end, it's not going to look like a smooth animation. So what I did is I took a bunch of sticky notes, and on every picture I drew the ball moving just a little bit further. Just a little bit further. And I went all the way through these sticky notes. And when I put them all together, and I flipped through the sticky notes really fast, let's see if I can get this to work. It looks like our ball is moving. Now the smoother you do it, the better it's going to look. So if I do it really fast, our ball moves across the page. It's kind of a weird angle to do it at, but when you show your friends, it works out really, really well. These are something you can make really quickly, or you can make them really complicated. If you look at YouTube for flipbook animations, is what usually people call them, you'll see a lot of really cool ones that people have taken hours or days to work on. And the last tip I want to give you guys is how to make a Lego stop motion animation. And stop motion is really cool, and it's something I did all the time as a kid, especially when I had a bunch of free time after school. I would go home and start animating. The cool thing is they don't have to just be made out of Legos. All we're doing is we're going to get some sort of stop motion app, and there's a lot of really awesome free ones that will work really, really well. And we're going to take a bunch of pictures of something that doesn't move by itself. I can make a stop motion of this tape dispenser. I can make a stop motion of Legos. I can take a stop motion of my favorite stuffed animal. But that's going to be our actors. All we're going to do is take a bunch of pictures, just like how we drew a bunch of pictures, or we had two pictures flipped upside down. I'm going to push them all together so it looks like it moves. It's almost like an optical illusion. The big secret of making an animation that looks really good when you do stop motion is making sure the camera doesn't move. It makes it look like everything is moving by itself instead of the camera moving around. And that's the biggest tip I can give you. If your camera is in a nice stand or somebody's holding it in the same spot always, you're going to have a really good animation no matter what you make. But I'm going to give you some more tricks, so if you want to work on stop motion animation at home, you'll have a lot of really cool and awesome things to do. The first step is having somewhere your characters can live. You can have a background, you can have a house they're in front of, you can have anything that's going to help you keep your characters living in one spot so the camera doesn't have to move. So I'm going to use this as my base for my animation. I'm going to put it down. Think about who you want to animate. You can animate something really simple, like this little tiny Stitch. I can have him move across the screen as my animation. Or I can have something like this Lego motorcycle, or this Lego construction worker. All these things would be awesome things to animate. The easiest way to make sure it looks really good is, one, make sure your hands aren't in it when you take a picture, because it's going to look kind of weird if there's a hand pushing the car. We want it to look like an optical illusion. So let's do a really easy example with Stitch first. When you want to make a Stitch animation, all you need to do is we're going to say we want it to be 10 pictures long. We're going to put him on one end, and we're going to take one picture with nothing else in the way. We're going to move him just a little bit and take another picture. Do it again, take another picture. And it will take a little bit of a long time, but it turns out really, really cool if you put it all together. We're going to have another picture, and another picture, and another picture, and keep going all the way across. And then we'll have our first animation. And we can go back and watch it, and it might move along something like this, all by itself. And get to the other side. And as you get better at it, you can start to add more complicated things. That's a really good way to start. You can even do something really simple. If you've ever played the old game Snake, all you are is a little block snake that keeps going around the screen. If you don't want to use any toys yet, you just want to use really simple Legos, you can stand up a board and have square pieces and place them. And let's say you have something that's 3 blocks long. All you can do to make it move is take the picture, take a block from the end, and put it on the start. It won't look like the block switch places, it'll look like your snake has moved over one square. Then you keep going, and you can keep adding pictures to make your animation a little bit different. And you can even make him change directions, and it'll look like your snake will change spots, as long as you move the back one to the front every single time. This is going to be awesome, and it's going to look really cool for your animation, and you can do all sorts of cool stuff. You can make a Lego cloud and have raindrops fall down by having them go one picture at a time. But remember, the most important thing is that the camera stays still, and the second most important thing is that everything moves at the same speed. You don't want to take 2 blocks one time and move them at the bottom, because then it'll look like your snake is going to speed up all of a sudden and slow down. It's going to look kind of weird. But if you just move your picture all the way down one at a time, it'll look really smooth. And don't forget, if you're behind or you don't know how to do this, you could take some time to practice with the app a little bit and then come back to these videos for some helpful tips as you get a little bit better at using the software. Another problem that people run into is when they want to make something move really, really fast, like they want a motorcycle to move across the screen. What's going to happen is they're going to take 3 pictures, and it's already going to be at the other side, and they want to show more things happening on the motorcycle. So what you can actually do is an optical illusion in your film. So it's like having two illusions at the same time. You can have the motorcycle stay still, but have the background keep moving around. So I just have some trees here, but I want my motorcycle to move really fast in this direction. So the trees are actually going to go the other way. So if I leave the motorcycle still, and I move the trees past the motorcycle in every picture, it's going to look like the motorcycle is going this way really fast and everything is just zooming by him. And it's actually a really cool technique to keep the motorcycle in focus and everything in the background moving by really quickly. The other thing is you want to think about how fast your pictures are going. Every picture, the fancy animator word is just called a frame. And there's a couple of these in a second. You could have 5 frames in a second, so in 1 second it's going to show you 5 pictures. Maybe you can have 30 frames in a second if you get really advanced at it. So every second there's 30 pictures going by. You want to think about how long it takes you to do something, and then see if you can make your character take that long. If it takes me 1 second to take my hand and raise in the air, and I'm at 5 frames a second, that's going to be 5 whole pictures. So I don't want to go 1, 2, because that's not slow enough. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then my hand's going to be all the way up. And it's going to make it look really nice and really smooth when you animate it. If somebody does something really fast and you make it too many pictures, like let's say I can raise my hand in a second and I take 20 pictures, I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and I finally have my hand up. It's going to look way too slow. So when they put their hand up, oh, it's going to be in slow motion. So you want to think about that when you're making your movie. And the really awesome thing is most apps are really helpful. They'll tell you what speed do you want to go at, and you can type it in and you can watch it, say, oh, that was a little too fast, and change the speed. The smaller number is actually a slower speed. My bad, a faster speed. 5 frames a second is going to be pretty quick moving. 30 frames a second is actually going to be pretty slow. There's going to be a lot of pictures. Something cool that movie tricks actually do is most movies are 48 frames a second. So a video camera is taking 48 pictures and it's playing them back. But if they have an action scene and they want everyone to look really fast, they move it down to 24 frames a second. So there's less pictures and everything is more blurry and everything. So it's going to look a little bit different. Keep in mind, if you only take 1 picture, it's only going to be there for a really small amount of time. If you have 5 frames a second, it's only going to be there for 1/5 of a second. So you want to make sure you take your time, but don't make anything still or it won't look alive. If I want to make this big explosion appear, I'm not going to do a picture where it's sitting there, and then the explosion, and then I take it away. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make it move to the top and then slowly shrink. So this is actually a bunch of red bushes stacked on top of each other. So I can start with 1 bush, and then I could put 2 bushes on the next picture. Then I could put 3 bushes on the next picture, and 4 bushes on the next picture. Go all the way up to 5, and then go back down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So instead of taking 1 frame, it now took 10, and I have 2 seconds of explosion instead of just a little blip on the screen. And that's just some tips to help you, and I hope you guys enjoy animating. If you want to see another video on animating, and you want to see some more advanced things, leave a comment below, because we have entire courses on animation, and we can keep on putting animation videos if your kids really like it, because it's a really big topic to cover. But this is just the basics of why animation works and how to start and some tips as you're working. Just remember our big words for today were optical illusion, something that tricks your eyes, and persistence of vision. Your eyes want to keep seeing something that's there. Remember the big tips, keep your camera still and make everything smooth. And I hope you guys enjoy animating and you enjoyed today's STEAM train for kids 3rd to 5th grade. And I hope you guys have fun working on these projects with your parents or with your children and with your siblings. Thank you guys for watching and have a good day.